Have you ever started to want to work on your car and it's your first time really working on one and you don't know what kind of tools you need? Well, I'm here to tell you, you don't need a lot. This time on Low Boost, I'm going to go over the tools that you didn't know you needed to work on your car, as well as some of the essentials. Here we go. If you're new to this channel, this is my 1994 BMW E36 Turbo LS swap. I did this entire swap myself in this garage. So if you're worried about doing a swap or doing big projects on your car, you don't need a big, elaborate, giant garage to do the project. You just need the right tools, at least one garage bay, and a lot of patience. So what I'm gonna do today is go over a bunch of the tools that I've accumulated over the years that I feel are ones that people overlook and miss, as well as the essentials that you're gonna need to put together to start working on your car the right way. And I know what some of you guys are already gonna say, Ken, don't you have that giant pole barn with the lift in it and everything? Yeah, you're right. My dad did build a pole barn, really nice garage that him and I do projects together on. But the biggest project I've ever taken on was turbo LS swapping my E36, and I did it in this garage. So there's a lot of great things that you can do in a garage like this. You can do an entire swap. So don't be discouraged if you don't have a lot of space. Now, the first thing that I would tell you to get is get yourself a jack and some jack stands. Now, full disclosure, I did do my full LS swap on QUICKJACKS, and I'll put a link to the video in the description below. I do think QUICKJACKS are a lot safer than jack stands. They are like $1,300 to get, but they do lift the car about 2 feet off the ground in an instant. But if you don't have the money to spend on that, you can usually get some jacks, or get some jack stands and a jack. I also suggest going to Play It Again Sports and getting some hockey pucks, because sometimes that helps with the jack surface. And every car is different. These are for my Corvette. These are actually jack pucks that go in, turn, and then they hold in one spot as a good jacking point, because you don't want to, you could really damage the car up if you jack it incorrectly, and this always helps you do it. So I will put links to everything that I'm showing you in the description below, or a link to one that might be just as good and less expensive. It's all on Amazon. But these are my jacks. They're Pittsburgh. It's a 2-ton Pittsburgh jack. It works great. They do make a smaller version of this if you're gonna go to track day, that you can use as well. Then once you safely are able to have your car suspended up in the air, either with your QUICKJACKS or with jack stands, the next thing you're gonna need is a breaker bar, and you're gonna need a torque wrench. Now, you don't wanna use your torque wrench as a breaker bar, you want a breaker bar separately. But you definitely need a torque wrench, whether you're gonna be torquing down your wheels, engine components, suspension components. There's always different torque specs that you're gonna need. This one I use for my wheels because it can go up to like 200 foot-pounds, but they do make smaller ones as well. I'll put a link to these in the description below. The next thing you're gonna need to make your life a lot better is getting an impact gun. A power drill is just not gonna cut it. It doesn't need to be a big, heavy-duty, ugga-dugga machine, but this will help you zip off bolts a lot better, especially when you're first starting out. And this Ryobi actually does a decent job of getting like 60, 70 foot-pounds almost on wheel bolts on cars. So it's actually not so bad. I like it a lot. So you need an impact gun. The next essential you really got to consider about getting is a tool set. Now this is old, Craftsman. I had this from back in the days when I worked at Sears. But you can really start off with anything simple as something like this. I'll put a link to something like this in the description below. You want to have sockets as well as deep sockets. This set comes with pliers, vice grips, some screwdrivers, and some wrenches, but you are gonna need more than what you see here, but this is a really good starting point because it also has Allen keys, precision tools, and drill bits and stuff like that, and it does have a ratchet. But you are gonna want more than this, but you definitely need at least, I would say, 150 to 200 piece tool set to start off with, just because you're gonna have little bits and stuff lying around you're gonna need. This episode is brought to you by Extreme Powerhouse. Whether you have a BMW, an Audi, Ford Mustang, or a bunch of other cars, make sure you check them out. They have a great selection of performance parts for a bunch of different types of vehicles. And if you go on there and use the coupon code LOWBOOST, all one word, you get access to some extra special discounts. If you haven't figured it out, the next thing you're gonna wanna get is some lights. I don't care what it is. I love the head helmet. I love this thing because it's actually magnetic, you can fit in places, or you can get one of these old school drop lights that you can hang from places as well. But as long as if you don't have good lighting, you're not going to really be able to work on your car, especially if you're underneath it. So make sure you get some good lights. This is a great one. I'll put a link to it in the description below, as well as the headlight. All right, the next non-negotiable must-have that you have to have are wrenches, but not just wrenches. You want to get yourself some ratchet wrenches. These are absolutely great because they can get into tight spots and really help you get stuff on and off. I don't know what I would do without these things. I'll put links to them in the description below, but not just wrenches, but you want to get a set of ratchet wrenches. All right, so now since we've gone over the absolute must-haves, in my opinion, we're gonna go over the should-haves, the things that I really think make doing jobs a hell of a lot better, make things a hell of a lot easier as well, and some stuff you might overlook. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk to you about a creeper. Especially when you're underneath the car, you wanna have a creeper. So that way you can wheel yourself around easier. This is a great one because not only is it a creeper you can lay on, it also flips up and is a stool you can sit on, which is absolutely awesome. I love this thing. The next thing that you want are gonna be socket extensions, a bunch of them, but not just any old socket extensions. You want swivel socket extensions that can actually still get the job done, but get you into some tight places. And also, in addition to the swivel, you wanna get a U-joint because sometimes you just got a nut or a bolt that you just can't get straight on, and you'll end up stripping it if you do it the wrong way. So this actually helps you get into some really tight places and some deep, deep places in your car. And there's one more thing you're gonna want for this as well, and that is a crow's foot set. This can be used for a variety of things that's not even intended to, but if you really have to get into a tight spot, this will turn with a ratchet, and you can get them in all different sizes. You can get them in all different sizes, but a crow's foot has been crucial, especially doing work on my C5 Corvette. This thing is awesome. The next thing I don't show an awful lot because it's usually a mess, and it's a mess right now. I strongly consider you guys getting a workbench as well as a toolbox. It's a good way to put all your tools in there and kind of organize things. And I have a lot of tools over the years. Obviously, I'm not even showing you nearly of everything that I end up having. I mean, I got multiple sets of sockets because I always lose 10 millimeters. So I just go out and buy all new sets, right? So we all do. But a toolbox is definitely a must-have. I really think you should be getting one, especially the more stuff you start accumulating, you want to have a place to put it and organize it. My garage is already a mess as it is. Imagine what it would be if I didn't have a toolbox. And if you're getting a workbench, I strongly think you should consider getting a vise to go on top of it, because when you're putting it together and fittings or anything else, it's always good to be able to have a virtual buddy that holds stuff for you. And guess what? Your buddy is also probably not going to want to hold the piece while you're using your cutoff wheel, that I also think you should get, because this thing doesn't care if you use a cutoff wheel on it. And both of those things I use on a consistent basis. The last thing I think you should consider getting is actually some bins to store all of your bolts, as well as a label machine in some cases, because when you're taking a car apart, you want to know where everything goes. And I've used a bunch of these to hold bolts for different parts of all the cars that I've worked on. So definitely having some type of storage system to store stuff is a big plus. Hopefully this video was helpful. I hope if anybody out there that's watching is looking at getting into working on their car for the first time, finds this video helpful, because these are all the tools that I think I use on a consistent basis, and I really wish I would have bought at first when I first started working on my car. So if you guys are interested in any of this stuff, I will put links to it in the description below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all my uploads, because I upload videos on this all the time. My wife's 540i, I got a bunch of other cars that I do videos on. Make sure you hit the like button. Lets YouTube know that other people should be watching this video as well. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.